This actually shows the basic modeling technique in Maya, where you take just a standard box, and you actually overlay the image, or you overlay the box over the image, so you can get the size correct. I did try a few times to actually use to extrude the model out, the actual faces out, but I found it easier to actually, in this model, to actually create separate box or cubes and actually apply the textures to those cubes, and then make it into one model. As you can see here, I've actually started bringing it back into Mudbox, where I can actually stencil the information, and using Photoshop just to get the correct information on the actual different faces of the building. Here I'm trying to get the bump maps correct. I had some issues with the UV to begin with, but I finally sorted that out by unwrapping and sewing different parts of the UV, so it gave me a nice map. I needed some additional images so that I could finalise up the side of the building. Originally I had it as one block, but as you can see, I start to actually think that this is probably the wrong way of doing it, because it was hard to paint in the three-dimensional image of the pipes that ran down the side of the building. Yeah, this is where I start to actually look at trying to the left-hand side, where I try to actually put the actual images on top of a flat surface, but it doesn't actually work. But yeah, I spent a bit of time thinking, the best way of doing this would be to paint it on. That would actually, and again, once again, reduce the amount of polygons that are involved in the model. But here you can see that I finally decided I would just reduce cut the model so as it would have the pipes sit inside the model itself. Then I started to go and reduce the amount of the faces that were in the model. I mean, no model needs any base faces, so I took them out. Here I'm just finalising up the bottom of the model. And just using Photoshop just to touch up the bits and pieces of the actual image. Here I was using a bit of a trick where you actually just mark the areas that you want, so you know which way the UV is facing, so you can actually then, when you paint, you know how the texture will actually fall, the diffuse texture will fall on the model. And that's the final product. Then I started to look at how to take paint effects from Maya and just make them stick to the model. I took an image and just chucked it on a texture, so it's just so you had something I could reference. But you can actually see the paint effect being attached to the model and how it follows the model. And I thought, well, it should really have, since it's the lichen, it should have some trees. And then this is the final bit where I just take it into iClone, and I added some other effects to the model.